One of the most important aspects of Google Ads that is often overlooked is properly tracking conversions. The reason for this is kind of because it's boring and no one really wants to do it, but it is the second half of Google Ads that really can't be overlooked. Yes, you can have an absolutely amazing Google Ads account doing absolutely wonderfully, bringing in a ton of leads, but if we're not tracking any of that, none of this data gets back into Google's AI, and herein lies the problem. If Google Ads AI doesn't know if what it's doing is correct or not correct, it's just going to essentially stall and not do anything because it would rather make no decisions than a whole bunch of bad decisions. And I've seen this time and time again where we'll have people come to us and they were running a great campaign, they were having success, and then they did something with their website. The conversion tracking broke for whatever reason, and then Google Ads was fed a whole bunch of bad data, and then the actual cost per conversion skyrocketed. The amount of clicks went down to essentially nothing because Google Ads doesn't want to make any bad actual decisions, which makes sense. But the entire account essentially blew up and it does nothing now. So essentially, I wanted to make a video on how to set up the actual conversion tracking inside of Google Ads, specifically for a landing page, how to simply set it up. It's not a very difficult process, so I'm going to walk you along in how to do that in today's video. So first off, what we need is some type of landing page software. You could also do this inside of your own website. It's not very difficult, but what we're going to need is the main landing page and then a thank you page. Very simple to do. If you're using a software like Landingly, Unbounce, Instapages, Lead Pages, whatever it is, this is not very difficult at all. Here at Tradesman Digital Marketing, I absolutely love Landingly. I think it's an absolutely amazing resource for any agency really, or any actual sole proprietor or CEO or an owner of your own business who's actually looking to get into Google Ads. Super cheap, super fast, reliable. It's an absolutely amazing program and I really can't recommend it enough. So in today's video, we're going to use that to actually set up our conversion tracking, and then the only other thing you'll need is a Google Ads account. So what we're going to do is start from scratch. We're going to pick a template. By the way, this is what Landingly looks like. It has a whole bunch of stuff. It's used by a whole bunch of people. And again, like I said, it's awesome. But what we're going to do is create a blank template here, just so I can show you from scratch. Let's find something here. This looks cool because we have a form right here that we can use to fill out. And this conversion tracking, by the way, is going to be a form submission conversion tracking action as opposed to call tracking. I have an entire video on call tracking if you want to look at that as well. Form submission. We'll just put conversion tracking demo for YouTube. There we go. That looks cool. And then we're going to start editing. Now, once this pops up, you can see we have a whole bunch of stuff here in terms of the actual form. We have a nice little landing page. Of course, I would recommend creating a nice landing page. We have an entire course on landing pages and downloads available as well, so you don't have to make your own landing page if you don't want to. But I would go ahead and make this look a lot nicer and make it actually useful for Google Ads. As we can see here, we have the main page and the thank you page. When we click on the thank you page, all it says is thank you. That's really all it has to do. It doesn't have to do anything else, but they need to be two separate pages. The reason for that is we have essentially two separate pieces of code, one that essentially shows and recognizes someone from Google Ads landing on the page, and then essentially a trigger action, meaning they converted. So once they actually fill out this form, they're sent to the thank you page, which then triggers the actual conversion action and sends that data back to Google Ads, which is what we need to do. So once we have this, we can actually come over here to the dashboard here. And what we're going to do is come here to JavaScript code, which is going to be the important part. Now, as you can see, we don't have any scripts yet, and we can hit add new script, but what we're going to need to do before we start adding anything is actually come over here to Google Ads. And this is our old demo account, which we always test and really show this on the actual YouTube channel. You're probably familiar with it. And we're going to come over here to Tools and Settings. We're going to come over here to Conversions. And by the way, Tools, Settings, Conversions, super easy to hit. Then we hit New Conversion Action. We're going to hit Website here. We're going to actually type in the domain name, which is simply the actual testing one. So this shouldn't come back with anything. This is just the actual demo one. You can add your own URL. That's completely fine. What we're going to do is add this manually and go from there, because I find it's a lot easier to do. Now, all we have to do is hit cancel here, because again, like I said, we're going to add it manually, and then we're going to hit add conversion action manually. I just prefer this. If you have essentially a whole bunch of landing pages and they all go to the same thank you page, you could add them automatically. But for us, I just prefer this. I find it a little easier to do, and I'm used to it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit submit lead form. We're going to do website, actually landing page, conversion, YouTube. For this, we could actually add a value. So if we were selling something and we knew exactly how much money we're making off this, we could add a precise value for each and every one of the conversions. We don't always have that if it's for leads. More often than not, we don't use a value. But if you do have a value for every single lead you get or every single sale, please do add that. It helps with the actual optimization for Google Ads. For count, do we want to count this every time the same person fills out a form or just every new person? Normally, you only want to add it for one person, or sorry, for every time a new person signs up, as opposed to the same person adding multiple leads or adding multiple form submissions, I should say. So we're just going to leave it at 1. If this was e-commerce, we could add it for every single one because they're making a new purchase. That makes sense. But for lead generation, we're normally going to want to go through 1. Click-through window, that's pretty easy to do. You can increase this or decrease this to whatever you would like. Essentially what it means is after a certain amount of time, if someone is to fill out a new form, they would count it as a new conversion. So if someone filled this out and then 45 days later, since we have it set as 30 days, they would then count as a new lead for Google Ads to actually import that data to. You could up this to 90 days. You could leave it as 30. It's really up to you. Engage view, conversion window, view through conversion window. These are things you could also adjust as well. This is for video engagement, not as relevant to us. View through window is very similar in the fact that it essentially acts like a click through window, but instead of clicking on it, it's actually viewing your ad. A little bit more complicated for the actual attribution, but still something worth checking out if you want to get super in depth in this. I don't want to go through an entire explanation of it, but if you want to, you can check it out. Attribution, we're going to leave it as data driven. You could do this as last click, but a lot of this stuff is getting removed and just going with data driven, and it makes attribution and everything a lot easier inside of Google Ads for every single click. Enhance conversions, you can turn this off in the actual conversion settings later if you choose to do so. But once we're done with that, we can hit done, and then we can come down here, hit agree, and continue. Now this will want us to set up the Google tag, or also known as the global site snippet previously. So essentially what we have to do here is set up 2 tags if we don't have any yet. If you already have one on your actual website, this should be, easy, and you'll only have to actually add 1. But if you don't have that, we can set up both. I prefer just hitting done here and then setting it up in the other settings. Again, I just find it easier. What we're going to do is click on the little landing page conversion YouTube conversion action that we just created. We'll click on that, and then as you can see down below here, it says tag setup, and it's going to allow us to click on one of 3 options. We're just going to install the tag ourselves, and then we're going to use the actual HTML code, which I know this may sound a little complicated. It's not. All you have to do here is essentially copy this and then copy this. And I'm going to show you that step by step. Very easy to do. So we're going to copy this. We're going to go over to our JavaScript code. We're going to type in Google Ads tag, and this is going to be the first one. So what we have to do is install this in the head position and on both pages, because it needs to essentially read where the user came from. And then we're going to hit paste, and then we're going to hit add script, and we've successfully done that. So now this will load in, and we will have one of the actual tags done, or snippets done. And all we have to do now is add the second snippet. So we'll hit add new snippet again. We're going to type this as form submission. And we can do that for thank you page. We'll just do this for YouTube. And what we're going to do is actually adjust this to body top, and then only on the thank you page we want this to appear, because if it's on both, it's going to trigger every time someone comes onto the actual landing page, which is not what we want. And if it's on the main page, it'll trigger every time someone comes onto the main page. So we only want this on the thank you page. And then we're going to come back to Google Ads. We're going to scroll down here. Make sure this is on page load. We want this to trigger whenever the actual page loads, not on the actual click. We're going to copy this. We're going to hit paste. And then we're going to hit add script. And now we have successfully added both of our scripts for Google Ads, and we are essentially done. All we need to do now is actually test this, which isn't actually that difficult to do. I'm actually just going to go ahead, publish this page, and then we can test it through Google Ads to make sure it is working, and we are good to go. So we're going to hit publish here. We're going to hit publish anyway, because yes, it should be optimized and everything should be perfect. But I don't think you guys want to wait around for that. So we're just going to hit publish there. This will give us a link that we can then go to. So we're going to copy this. And then if we come back here, it should say, oh, well, it'll bring us back to our main screen. What we're going to do is hit conversions again. We're going to hit troubleshoot. Notice how this says inactive. There is no current actual tags verified. Google doesn't know if this is working or not. What we need to do is just make sure it is working, so we can hit troubleshoot here. This is going to pop up. It's going to be very, very simple to do. All we have to do is come over here, type in the actual URL of our landing page, hit connect. This essentially puts us into a debug mode where it allows us to make sure this is actually working. So what you don't want this to do is have a green check mark right away. It only should give a green check mark after we type this in. So what we're going to do, type in my name. We'll do my email address, random phone number. I think that's long enough. And then, hi, this is a test. And then once we submit this, this should turn green. Boom, and we are good to go. And once this is done, you can see this is now sending data to Google Ads. We can close the assistant. And then this will now say no recent conversions. It is active and we are good to go. So that is how to set up Google Ads conversion tracking step-by-step inside of Google Ads. Very simple to do, but very important. We need this relevant data in order to make Google's AI really optimize and make sure it is getting the best results possible. If we don't have this, we are going to suffer. Now, one thing I do recommend for every single Google Ads account is checking out our Google Ads optimization checklist. It's completely free and the link is down below. It walks you through on what to do on a weekly, monthly, and 3-month basis. It also allows you to jot down your results so you can see that you're improving your account month over month. I really like having a checklist. It really helps when actually monitoring these accounts and making sure that you're not forgetting anything and just making sure what you should be optimizing on a weekly basis as opposed to a monthly basis, something that's super, super important. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave a comment down below. I will do my best to get back to you. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, and I wish you all